So I would like to welcome Dr. Christina Johns, who's a pediatric urgent care physician and the senior medical advisor for PM Pediatrics, and who I happen to personally know, which is kind of fun. Yeah. So welcome to San Francisco Bay Area Moms.
Thank you.
And we are here today to really talk about how kids can still have Halloween and avoid COVID-19.
Good topic and a tough one right now, right? It's on everybody's mind, right? How am I going to swing this? So, I've gotten a lot of questions about it. I think it can be done. Is it going to look like exactly like it has in years past? I don't think so, but doesn't mean that we can't have a good time and still make it good.
Right. And I think it's important too, for those of us with older children, who maybe our kids aren't participating in Halloween themselves, but we still like to. And as a neighbor or just a member of the community, I think it's important to know how to make it safe, or what you can do, or what you should just simply not do, and what the alternatives are. So what are some things that we can do to help our kids still enjoy Halloween?
So I think that, when you start to approach this, the first question is like, how do I even approach this? How do we think about this question? And what I always say, whether it's Halloween or any other activities, but it certainly applies for Halloween, is thinking through what is the community rate in your area. I think that's the most important thing. So what's the percent of positive cases and new cases in your community? And I think that that's important to know. If, like it has been sort of slowly increasing in many, many states, I think that's important to keep in mind. We've got to adjust our activity choice based on that first and foremost. So I think that that's an important thing. And most Department of Health websites, whether it's state or even by county, you can see where how it looks in your area. And I think that's important to start off. So once you know that your case rate is remaining flat, and that you're not in an area with steady increases of cases, then you can start to think, all right, so maybe we can have Halloween going out. If you are in an area where the case rate is rising, then it's important to know that anytime you are out and about, that is an activity of increased risk. And that may not be something that you want to consider, especially if you are in the same household as vulnerable people. So older people or people who may have weakened immune systems, that's important to think about. And so first and foremost, so decide whether or not it even makes sense for you to entertain going out. If it doesn't, and that's okay, then there's still lots of fun things to do, ways to make it great. Get a bunch of pumpkins. Maybe this is the year that you decorate not just 2 pumpkins, but each kid gets to do 3 pumpkins or something like that, where you have a whole pumpkin family that you display, and that becomes your primary activity. Or a fun movie night, or going on the internet and finding cool crafts or cooking treats that are something that you can do within your household or within one other family that that's sort of been part of your, for lack of a word, bubble. So, so that's something that you can do. Movie night, for sure. Some people are talking about doing kind of like during Easter, do a Halloween candy hunt out in the backyard, right? Hide candy. That's a good way for kids to still be able to have fun, get in the spirit without you having to go anywhere. So that's a good kind of low risk thing to do if you're not able to get out with your kids. If you feel like the community rate is relatively flat in my area and it's low, and I don't have any high risk people or vulnerable persons in my household, then can you start to think about maybe going out to do some things? Yes. Should you have a normal trick-or-treating event like you have in years past, where you go from house to house and there's hands everywhere and kids reaching into things? No, let's not do that. But there are some other things that you can do. And what I have been telling families are, number one, some kids just want to kind of parade around the neighborhood in
That's
their
true.
costume.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even mind if they're going to get candy from somewhere, or buy your own candy and say to kids, hey, we're going to get our candy stash when we get back, but let's march around and we'll say hello and trick or treat to happy Halloween to everybody. Look at decorations, but not touch anything. And we're going to stay distanced, stay in our group. That's a good one. I like it. A very, very reasonable way, sort of in the middle there. And so I know a lot of people are going to do that because their kids want to get dressed up or be in a Halloween parade that's very distanced.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That being said, if you're going to go out, regardless of whether or not you're going to get any candy, hand hygiene, remember that you need to be masked. Your child over 2 years old needs to be masked, and it can't be just part of the costume, right? It's got to be a legit mask.
Right.
So that's an important one.
Yeah.
So then my other thought for folks is that if they really want, their kids are a little bit older and they are dying to do the real trick-or-treating where they get candy, I have a couple of thoughts for that. So number one, I would say you can pick like 10 houses or so, or people in the neighborhood that you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of make a plan beforehand that we're going to stop at these houses. We're going to wash our hands, bring our hand sanitizer, wash our hands first. There's a plan that either the family that you're going to trick or treat is going to have all of their treats lined up, like on a table where kids go one at a time and grab the individually packaged treat. Mm-hmm. And say trick or treat, and the person giving away the candy is separated, more than 6 feet and masked. That's a good way to do it. Another way that I've heard of is, you probably saw on the internet. Did you see that was going around, that somebody out of PVC piping?
Oh, the tubes. Yeah.
Yes. And people drop the candy. So that's another idea. Mm-hmm. For a way, if you really want it to go and get candy for real, like real trick-or-treating.
Right.
But then the issue comes that when you get home and you've got a pumpkin full of candy,
yes,
then you don't know where it's been, you don't know, right? So there's some risk there too. So a couple of thoughts about that. One, and I believe this even is on the CDC website, that they actually recommend wiping down the wrappers. I don't know. Look, I'm a mom. Let's get into, Project Realism here.
Right.
Who's really going to wipe down every single
little tiny, yeah.
Who's going to do that?
Yeah.
Also, even if you did that, how can you guarantee that you were really successful in being able to get off every single nook and cranny and wipe off the every square centimeter so that you are sure that you could get off all of the germs? That's a tricky one for this scientist to really wrap my head around. Yeah. So I know that some people are also going to have a stash of candy, again, the pre-purchase stash, and switch out the candy that they get. And then what you can do with the candy that's newly acquired is you could let that sit out for several days. Yeah. And, in a dry place that would be safe to do, after 3 or 4 days. So there are some ways that are, I sort of think, the kind of higher risk, medium risk, low risk ways to really get out there and make it happen so that it can still be a special celebration for kids. Because I know it's tough.
Yeah, and it's it just feels like one more thing to have to take away from everybody. Yes. But you also have to be smart about it as a parent. And if it just doesn't feel right and you have that kind of gut instinct, then it's okay to listen to it and try an alternative.
100%. And you can use me, throw me under the bus and tell them Dr. Johns wouldn't let you do it. I am willing to be that bad guy. Yeah.
And you're on the East Coast too, so even more so. Yeah.
Right. That mean old lady. But I do think that another important thing that is a small thing maybe, but a big thing, is that remember that the candy inside of the wrapper is unlikely to be contaminated. And so one thing that is a good thing to do is, if you're going to open the wrapper, don't eat the candy, wash your hands, and then pick up the candy and eat it, right? A little bit of a subtle detail there, and maybe a little bit difficult to do with younger children.
Right.
Right?
Impulse control, yeah.
Right? But with older kids, again, that's just another way to try to inject a little bit of normal into this wacky time to make it so that they really can have that experience that they associate so positively.
Right. Yeah, I was considering, I bought, and I probably will be that house that doesn't have candy and has the little wands of bubbles that, you know, some of
I
the
do that
stores
too.
have. Yeah. And I was like, I could hang up a clothes rack or a clothesline and, you know, kind of distance them out and, you know, myself be, you
Yes.
know, have the hand wash or gloves to be able to kind of hook them up. And then if Halloween was a bust, then I didn't, I don't have to eat the candy.
Right.
I can
See,
save the bubbles for next
there's
year.
there's
Yeah,
some health benefit to that.
that's right. That's right. So, but I know there are just some traditional Halloween things that really just should be no.
Not on the
What
list.
are some of those? Just like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, and and this applies to more than just the pandemic, bobbing for apples.
oh yeah,
That's just a big no in my
yes,
book, right?
yeah.
That's too much of a germ exchange for
Right.
my comfort level.
Anytime. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that one isn't a good idea. Also, I know that in some neighborhoods, some people really are in the spirit in the season and will actually make a haunted house, like in their house, and so
Mm-hmm.
that people coming by can walk through the first floor that they've adjusted somehow to create a haunted house. I would say avoid all of that
Yep.
that kind of thing this year. It just doesn't make sense. It's too high risk. You really don't know exactly what you're getting, and why put yourself in your kids in that kind of a danger. So would not do that. Also, I think, lots of people do like to trick or treat. Kids like to do it. Groups of 10, 15, not a good idea this year. So
Yeah.
it's got to be really small and really distanced.
Yeah. Just make those smart decisions like we have been for everything
Yeah.
this year, you know.
Yep. That's exactly right. And I would say as well, and I know we're really getting close because you really need about 2 weeks or so to mount immunity to flu, but get your flu shot. I think
Oh,
that's the other
absolutely.
is
Yes.
that's another way that if you're going to be out around any other people, remember that we're getting into the season where that's a risk too.
Right. That's very smart. Very good piece of advice. Now, I know out here in California, lots of pumpkin patches and
Yeah.
things like that, even though they're outside, typically many companies and businesses have just said, no, we're not going to put ourselves at risk or, our clients at risk and customers and, the corn mazes and things like
The
that.
hay rides and
Yeah.
things,
And so,
things like that. It's
yeah,
true, right? I mean, if you think about it and drill down, those are, while they're outside, which is great, that lowers the risk. But
sure.
think of the number of little hands that touch all the pumpkins,
That's
and
right.
when you're on a hayride, you're close together by definition. You're close together with people, and so a lot of places, you're right, have decided this is not the year to do that. And I have to say it's a reasonable decision given the current climate.
Right. So support those businesses at other
Right.
times and in other ways, but find some new traditions to establish.
Yeah, I really think it can be done. It
Mhm.
is, takes a little bit of creativity,
Yep.
but I think that there are some things that don't involve a ton of investment, time and or otherwise, that can really make for some new fun traditions. One that I like, that I just posted on my social media channels: get a pumpkin and have that your pumpkin of gratitude, where every day leading up from now until Thanksgiving, and this isn't necessarily Halloween, but it's fall, so it's kind of
Mhm.
close by.
Sure.
And everybody gets to write on the pumpkin something that they're grateful for every single day. And
Mhm.
and then on Thanksgiving Day, you start from top to bottom and read all of the things that
That's
everybody
very
has
sweet.
contributed throughout the
Yeah.
month. So I think fall things, Halloween things, some new fresh thinking about how to make that special even in this difficult time.
Right. And I think as we end here, it's important to remember to include the children in it.
You bet.
Like, have that kind of family conversation about what they want to do, because they are following what's going on and they see it, and they might surprise you and have some ideas of their own that
For sure.
that can really spark some more creativity and some bonding kind of within your family.
Absolutely right. I think that that's a big deal. You know, even little things like, all right, we're going to do a candy hunt, and one sibling is going to help hide the candy for the other, and then vice versa, so that everybody gets to really play an important role. They feel important, they feel connected, they feel social, all of those things that we feel like our kids are missing right now.
Right.
It's a way to add back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Dr. Christina. And you can follow Dr. Christina on, like as she said, social media channels, and we'll put that in the post.
Great.
On Twitter and Facebook as well. And thank you.
You are most welcome. It's so nice to see you.
I know, what a treat.